You sat on the edge of your bed, nose completely stuffed with snot, eyes heavy, body in pain. There was no sugarcoating it. You were sick. Damn it. Fazbear Entertainment had strict rules when it came to sick days. Some of them should have been OSHA violations, but whatever. Groaning, you got on your feet, taking a few tissues. You blew your nose until you were able to sound relatively normal before calling the only person who could help you in your need. Bride, you stammered into your phone. Oh, jeez. I can hear the sick from here. I'm sorry, you growled. But I'm out of sick days. But I'm out of sick days for the rest of the year. And I can't allow any more. Brian was the leader of the day shift security guards, a shift that you normally took. However, you were kind of a biohazard right now, and due to his high standing, Brian had free access to the employee timetables. He could freely adjust them to be more fitting, either with employee guidelines or employee lives without it affecting the Plexus bottom line. Trick 17, as he called it, was seemingly randomly assigning guards over to night shift for a couple of days. This way they would not have to pull sick days, especially when they ran out of them for the year. I'll work my magic. Call you back in a few, he said after a while. You then lied down, groaning and coughing. It took Brian almost until the end of the day shift to finally call you back. Managed to give you the day off today. You didn't appear at all. Anyways, but tomorrow you gotta come. I put you up for night shift for 2 weeks. Terminator was glad to get a day off, so try to become as little sick as possible until tomorrow night. Got it? Uh-huh. You sniffled. Thanks, Brian. You had been prone to illness your entire life. Whenever the weather outside became cooler, whenever you felt just a tiny speck of stress, and whenever your therapist decided your antidepressants no longer worked as intended and you needed new ones, you became instantly sick. This phenomenon had gotten you into trouble many times as a child, as everyone thought you were merely simulating being sick with how often it happened. In fact, your mother's dismissal of any illnesses you had, and the gaslighting everyone was doing around you at the time, was part of the reason you needed a therapist in the first place. You spent the rest of the day lying in bed, with a warming bottle, lots of vitamin fruits, tea with lemon squeezes, and most importantly pills, and chicken soup that you ordered from a delivery website. You often fell in and out of sleep. It was quite the nightmare. And so the evening turned to the boarding of the next day. In your delirious state, you almost put on your day guard uniform to go to work, but last minute you remembered that you were on your night shift for now. This made you huddle back to bed with a smile. You woke up hours later thanks to your alarm, still wearing your uniform you had waddled to bed with. You stretched and yawned, regretting it immediately, as your throat felt like you had swallowed thousands of needles, and they were simultaneously pricking your skin. After a rough yelp, however, you managed to leave your bed. You left your house an hour later to get to work. The Pizzaplex was quite bright, even in its night mode. Only about half of its lights were turned off. It was very energy inefficient, though this needed to be so that all machines could function without having an expensive night vision upgrade installed into them. It made every employee wonder how expensive that upgrade must be, as the owner of the Pizzaplex didn't get it and just left lights on 24/7. The problem with the Plex being lit up like this was the incredible amount of visual stimulation you were now getting. You were still quite weak and definitely didn't want to look at all these glaring lights. Sitting down inside the darkest office inside of the Western Arcade, you decided to nap on the office chair. It would be less punishing for you to fall asleep on the job than it would have been to not come at all, after all. Though just as you had closed your eyes, you were interrupted by a loud notification sound on your tablet. Annoyed, you pulled it up, clicking the animatronic alert you had just received. It was the daycare attendant? Damn it, you definitely didn't have the energy for this. But knowing him, he would spam you with more notifications soon if you didn't start going. Groaning, you got up on your feet before slowly wandering to the daycare attraction at the opposite end of the Pizzaplex. Breathing out of your mouth, you needed to take multiple nose-blowing breaks until you finally arrived. The animatronic was climbing on the nets that separated the play area with the outside arcade and food area. You sniffled. You grunted. The robot didn't notice you yet. He was attached to his flying rope, so you weren't really worried about him breaking himself. But it was still dangerous. With your arms crossed for comfort, you walked into the play area. "Son, what are you doing?" you croaked, but it sounded more like a growl.
"I'm having a Spider-Man adventure."
He looked down at you after you didn't immediately respond.
"Just kidding. I came up with a new trick. Step aside, Miss Temporary Night Guard,"
he shouted down at you. You once again sniffled and took a step back. The robot then pushed forward and backwards, almost tearing the net before letting go. With the momentum he created, the animatronic catapulted himself backwards, managing to pull off 3 full spins before gracefully slapping onto the ground. Concerned, you walked over. He was lying flat on his face.
"Are you alright?"
you asked with your stuffy nose.
"Yeah, that was fun."
The robot got on all fours before looking up at you. He blinked, his face suddenly turning upside down.
Miss Temporary Night Guard? Are you sick?"
"Yes, actually." As if on cue, you sneezed loudly. You just barely managed to cover your face.
"Ooh, I always wanted to take care of a sick person."
The robot jumped up. "Wait, what?" Confused, you felt the robot's hands on your shoulders as he pushed you into the nap time area. Hey, stop, what are you doing?" Obviously, you weren't strong enough to fight a robot like him, especially in your current state. So you quickly gave up fighting him. The robot laid you down on a sleeping mat before gently draping a naptime blanket on top of you. It was way too small.
"Son, this really... Sorry. Son, this is a bit condescending, don't you think?" "But I want to be nice to you."
"Nice to me?"
"Of course. I'm programmed to be a friendly caretaker for all your sickness needs. I will protect you, I will cuddle with you, and I will feed you."
I guess that sounds okay, but... You sighed, your hazy mind taking over the thinking for you. Sighing, you stopped resisting entirely. So what now? You asked. The machine giggled before lying down next to you and pulling you close into its grasp. It was very uncomfortable. Clearly the robot didn't understand that he was, well, a robot. Thankfully, you were a fully grown woman. If you were a child, you'd genuinely be afraid he'd squish you. The thought alone was a little terrifying. And you were glad that he did this to you and not someone else. Sun began to play a lullaby through his music box. As he pulled a blue-wrapped candy from his built-in candy dispenser.
Delicious Moondrop candy, the sweet heart candy with a soothing taste.
You knew that the Sun Drop and Moondrop candies were just mere marketing gimmicks, and didn't actually have any chemicals in them to induce sleep or wake one up quicker, but it was nice being cared for once. His fingers gently brushed through your hair as his body began to heat up ever so slightly as you chowed down on his candy. Now, if only he had remembered some napkins, as you suddenly sneezed into the robot's face, making him recoil with disgust.
Sorry,
you stuttered, while he jumped up on his feet.
Ah! Filthy! Gross!
The robot ran away, and from somewhere behind the painting area you heard him rummage. The daycare attendant returned to your side minutes later. In his hands was a paper box out of which a white tissue was visible.
I'm sorry, Miss Temporary Night Guard. I messed up.
No, you said as you took a tissue from him, blowing your nose.
But I should have realized that you needed one.
You sighed, taking a new paper tissue and gently rubbed over his wet face.
Miss Temporary Night Guard, this really doesn't help. I need to be disinfected.
Sun said that, almost sounding sarcastic, but you just smiled. Well, if you're gonna disinfect yourself, might as well, right? You leaned forward and kissed his cheek. Thank you for taking care of me. The robot, meanwhile, jumped back, a surprised noise, before dancing happily into the air. He then went on to disinfect himself. In the sanitary station, he rubbed over his face with a clean rag. And that's when it happened. The blackout. Blackouts happened a few times at night. The Pizzaplex routed its electricity to the various animatronic charging stations. The animatronic fell to the ground, quickly using a crayon he carried with himself to scribble a message on the floor, before everything went dark. As Moon awoke from his slumber, he immediately realized that he wasn't in the play area or his alcove. What the hell had Sun been doing? The robot got up on his feet, his eyes lighting up in an ominous red glow, to spot his surroundings. There was text on the floor. It read, "Night Guard sick, please take care." Moon rolled his eyes.
You can't tell me what to do, brother,
he hissed. Grabbing a sponge, he cleaned up the message.
Leaving a mess,
he complained. Once satisfied, the animatronic turned his attention towards the play area. If the Night Guard was here, surely they were already expecting him. The robot marched into the daycare, almost immediately finding you inside the nap time area. You were soundly asleep, or at least that's how it appeared. You knew pretending to uphold the robot's naptime protocol would be the best course of action. Moon's eyes widened. Quietly he got on all fours and crawled over to you, his face coming close to yours.
Good girl. At least you know how proper naptime protocols work. Yes, I can work with this.
His hand suddenly fell onto your head as he gently petted you. Through your closed eyes you could see the glow of his. His face must be right above yours. Suppressing a smirk, you reached up to him, your arms wrapping around his chest. He gasped in surprise as you pulled him into a tight hug.
You're one of the handsy ones, aren't you? Very well.
Buried under the robot, he continued stroking your hair.
Normally I'd be kicking out for this. This is very unsanitary. But you're an adult, so I'm going to make an exception. Just for you.
Hey, thank you for watching my video until the end. If you're new here, I hope you stick around and watch a few more. But before I say goodbye, I'd like to remind you to like the video and subscribe. That really helps the YouTube algorithm. That's all. Hope you have a good day. Until next time. Bye!